Namaste viewers and welcome to Bend It Like LD. Today's video is again a special request from one of my followers on YouTube, and this is a yoga sequence for hamstrings, a sequence that can assist in releasing tight hamstrings, a sequence that can be done to stretch, strengthen and lengthen your hamstrings, or a sequence that could actually be done after a vigorous sport activity, say a long run or a long cycling program, and also simply a sequence that you could do at the end of the day to release all the tightness that's accumulated at the back of your thighs and your shins and your calves. So let's get started. We'll start today by lying down in Shavasana first, allowing our body, breath and mind to first center completely, and slowly bringing the knees to your chest, stretching your arms out to the sides, palms facing down. We'll start with Yogic Cycling first. So this is just to release any tightness in your hips, in your pelvic muscles, in your quads, to just open up the body and to prepare the legs for the deeper practices that we'll start looking into in a short while. So starting with Yogic Cycling, about say 15 times in one direction and say 15 times in the opposite direction, forward and backward cycling. This is also great for kind of warming up your abdominal muscles as well. Slowly, once you're done, slowly just lift your legs up to 90 degrees. In fact, I cannot stress enough on the importance of putting your feet up, literally, like putting your feet up sends a signal to your body that you're allowing the muscles to relax and you're preparing the muscles to relax. And you must remember that any stretching happens when you actually release and relax the muscle rather than overusing or overstretching the muscle. So this act of putting the feet up sends the blood completely back across to your hips, to your quads, to your thighs. And instead of pulling around the ankles, it sends it back freely so that the energy flow and the oxygen distribution is freer across your body. So staying here for about say a minute or so before you start the practice is a wonderful way to start the sequence. And once you're done, slowly bend your knees, keeping your feet hip distance apart. We'll start with the bridge pose first. And I'll tell you why, because most of the asanas, if you see for hamstrings, most of the yoga sequences usually target a stretching routine for hamstrings, whereas it's also very important to strengthen your hamstrings so that the hamstrings play their particular role and you end up not overusing your knee whenever you do any practices. So slowly bring your feet hip distance apart, lift your hips all the way up. And as you lift your hips up, slowly lift your right leg all the way up. Try to bring the right knee in line with your left knee, pointing your toes and staying here for about say 5 to 10 breaths and repeat on the other side. You could do 2-3 sets of this. I haven't shown it here because of the shortage of time in my videos, but otherwise you can try and do about 2 or 3 sets of this to strengthen your hamstrings. Make sure your knees are in line, make sure you're pointing your toes, make sure you're lifting your hip up as much as you can. And staying in bridge again for about 5 breaths, slowly release. So you will most certainly need 2 blocks and a belt for this sequence. So we'll start with a simple Supta Padangushtasana variation by looping a belt or a cotton belt or a cotton scarf around the middle of your right foot and lift that leg up 90 degrees. As I've clearly pointed out, don't really pull on that belt, don't choke yourself, just a gentle pressure. And if you think your hamstrings are kind of easy and flexible, you can also hold your big toe. Try to pull the right shoulder down, relax the shoulders, and gentle breathing in and breathing out throughout the practice. And slowly start to straighten the left leg now. Keeping a gentle pressure on both sides of the belt. You can adjust your hands up or down the belt depending on how flexible or how tight your hamstrings are. And it's important to hold these postures for about a minute or at least 2 minutes on each side to derive the maximum benefits of the practice. So feel free to hit the pause button, stay here for more time as much as you can. And slowly release and repeat on the other side. Loop the belt around the middle of your left foot, lift that leg up 90 degrees so you can slide your palms down to increase the height of the belt. Or if you feel, you can inch your palms up towards your feet. Or you can hold your left big toe with your left palm. Always remember the grip should be really firm. So loop 2 fingers on the inside of your big toe and wrap it with your thumb from the outside and give a nice firm pull to the toe. Try to draw your thigh towards your chest. And once you feel your hamstrings are kind of opening up, slowly start to straighten the right leg. This is completely optional. You can still keep that right leg bent as well. If your hamstrings are too tight, you're better off keeping the other leg bent. And slowly release whenever you're done. Now slowly loop the belt around both your feet, around the middle soft portion of both your feet, and lift both your legs up to 90 degrees now. Try to stay here as well. Now keep pushing the hips down and start to straighten the knees. Use your palms to go up or down the belt. Don't suffer. And slowly release the belt. And if you can also hold both your toes with your palms and start to draw the thighs slowly towards your chest by bending your elbows to the sides. You can always keep a soft micro bend in your knees if it's too much for you, or you can completely avoid this step if your hamstrings are too tight. Just simply use the belt and omit this step completely. And once you're done, slowly release. Hug your knees to your chest for a couple of breaths. Relax completely first. And rock yourself up a couple of times and sit up. Now we'll go for some deeper practices. We'll start with Ardha Hanuman Asana using blocks. So one option is to keep both blocks in front of you, shoulder distance apart. Place your palms on the block and try to draw your heel towards the mat as much as you can. And do some heel raises by inhale. Lift your heels all the way up and exhale, release all the way down. Do this a couple of times, about 5 or 6 times. Slowly release, and we'll do the other option by keeping the blocks behind the feet. Coming back to down dog again, drop the heels on the block. Try to press the heels on the block and press your palms in front, drawing your head between your arms. This is again a fantastic recovery stretch for your hamstrings. Try to press the heels towards the blocks as much as you can, trying to straighten the knees as much as you can. This is great to do especially after a run or after any sport activity like badminton, tennis. It's also a good workout for the heels as well. And slowly release and come out of the posture. And slowly take 2 blocks with you first. We'll start with a crossed Uttanasana. So go ahead and take a belt first. Place the belt on the mat, a belt or a scarf. Make sure it's a cotton belt. Step on the belt so that the belt is under the middle of your feet. Keep your feet about shoulder distance or hip distance apart. And take the belt in both your hands. So again here you need to adjust your hands depending on how flexible your hamstrings are. So I'm showing it to you at a midpoint level. Holding the belt firmly but not too strongly. As you inhale, lift the chest and spine forward, and with every exhalation, pulling your belly in, slowly draw your chest towards your thighs. Turn the elbows out slightly and start to shift your weight towards your toes. So usually the tendency for the body is to find comfort. So you'll probably find that the body is shifting the weight towards the heels. So consciously try to shift the weight towards your toes so that you open the back of your thighs a little more strongly. And with every exhalation, pulling the belly in, draw your belly towards your thighs. Again, the focus here is not to drop your head between your thighs or not to reach for your toes. The focus here is to gently open the hamstrings, which is why we use the belt, and allow the hamstrings to open up softly. Taking your elbows to the side, and after about 30 seconds, if you feel you can slowly, you can take your palms down and reach towards your feet and go into a deeper stretch if you wish. And moving on to our next asana, Parshvottanasana. I'm showing you using belt. If you want to see how to do Parshvottanasana with blocks, you must check out my other video, Yoga for Sciatica and Back Pain, where I've shown clear instructions. So this is using a belt under the right foot, taking your left foot back at an angle, at a 45-degree angle, holding the belt on both sides, keeping both knees absolutely straight, keep both your legs very active. Push into all four corners of your feet. As you inhale, lift the chest and head up. And as you exhale, drawing the belly in, fold forward towards your right knee. Again, the focus is not to drop the head towards the knee, but to keep lengthening the spine and to keep opening up the hamstrings. So use your palms wisely. You can take your palms down if you wish, or you can take your palms up. So the idea is to keep the knees straight. So don't try to compromise on the asana, which is why we are using the props to help you get into the posture effectively. Both legs are completely active, both kneecaps are lifted up, and slowly release. Moving on to the other side, placing the left foot on the belt, making sure the belt is under the middle of your left foot, bringing the right foot back at a 45-degree angle. You really want to make sure that your hips are square. So consciously pull the hip forward, pull the right hip forward so that both hip points are facing to the front of the mat, and slowly fold forward. You can keep the knees soft first, grab the belt in both your hands, and then start to straighten the knee by inhaling, lengthening your spine, and with every exhalation, drawing your belly towards your thighs and folding forward. And of course, remember to breathe throughout the practice. Taking long, deep exhalations will help you to reach further down as you create more space in your abdomen. Keep pulling the right hip forward. And those of you who can simply drop your palms on either side of your left foot as well and try for a deeper stretch. But of course, remember, no compromising by bending the knee. If you're bending the knee, you're better off holding the belt and straightening the knee rather. Make sure both legs are active. This is a deeper version I'm showing you where you take your palms behind. Bend your knees softly. Inhale slowly. Come up. And your hamstrings do respond differently on different days. So there are days when I feel quite open in my hamstrings, which is probably today. But there are days when I feel super tight in my hamstrings, especially if I've done a run. So moving on to our next pose, cross your right knee over your left knee, keeping your right foot at a diagonal. We're doing a little modification of Uttanasana here. Lift your arms all the way up, lengthen your spine, twist completely to the right side and place your palms on the block as shown in the video. Spread your fingers on the block. Keep the block at the highest height first. Keep the right knee slightly bent but straighten the left knee completely. And with every inhalation, drawing your chest forward. With every exhalation, straighten the left knee and fold forward towards your right side. Shifting your weight towards the right side as much as you can. So try to adjust the height of the block, the position of the block, depending on how comfortable you feel. And if you want to go a little more deeper, you can take the blocks a little away from the left foot and fold forward towards the right side. Make sure the left knee is straight. Make sure the right knee is slightly bent. This is a great way for stretching all the way from your IT band to your hamstrings to your ankles. This is also great for strengthening your knees because it works on all other parts of your lower body as well. Moving on to the other side, cross the left knee over the right knee. Keep the left knee slightly bent and right knee absolutely straight. Taking your arms all the way up, make sure you lengthen your spine before you twist to the left side and folding forward to the left side onto the blocks. And you must use blocks. You do want to use blocks because we are looking at stretching, strengthening. So there's no point in really suffering in the asanas. The idea is to hold for longer periods using the help of props. So go ahead and do all the adjustments that you need. Shifting the blocks away from the right foot. Changing the position of the block. Push into all four corners of your feet. Shift your weight to the left side. And slowly release. And we'll now move forward for a slightly deeper stretch to Ardha Hanuman Asana. So bringing the right foot in between the blocks, slowly stretch your left leg and drop the left knee on the mat. Interlock your fingers on your right knee first. Keep both your blocks on either side of your right foot and just bend and flex and straighten the knee a little. And slowly start to slide the right heel forward by straightening the right knee. Use the blocks, push your palms into the blocks by the sides of your knees, but make sure you're lengthening your spine. You can keep the back toes tucked if you feel your hamstrings are too tight. Otherwise, you can untuck your toes. Stay here for a couple of breaths first. Inhale, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, pull the left hip forward. Start to pull the right hip back. So you square your hips to the front of the mat. Straightening the right knee with every exhalation. This itself could be quite intense for some of you. And if you want to go a little more deeper, maybe tuck your back toes, take one step back with your left knee, maybe another step back with your left knee, and slowly see if you want to reduce the height of the blocks. And go deeper by taking a deep exhalation and folding forward towards your right thigh. Again, the focus not to drop your head down towards your knee, but to keep lengthening your spine and to keep straightening the right knee and keep pulling the left hip forward. Lot of deep sensations here. Try to hold the posture for as long as you can. And after every 30 seconds, try to reduce the height of the blocks so that you go deeper into the posture, but you do it more gently. Understanding alignment is very important when you're going for deeper stretches, especially for hamstrings or knees. Because doing something wrong can be completely counterproductive to what you're aiming for. Moving on to the other side, on the left side. So if you notice, some of you may be tight on one side and probably not so tight on the other side, which is completely normal. So I feel my right hamstring is pretty tight, whereas my left hamstring cooperates a lot better. So go ahead, maybe your stronger leg would probably be tighter and vice versa. So pull the right hip forward, make sure your hips are square, place your palms on your blocks. And if you feel one side is tighter, say the right or left, then you should try and hold that side for a longer time. Try to lengthen the spine. With every exhalation, straighten the left knee. Make sure the left toes are flexed, pointing towards you for a slightly more intense work on the quadriceps. And reduce the height of the block. Now tuck your back toes, try to take one more step with your back knee, about 2 or 3 times. And if you can, as you exhale, draw your chest towards your left knee. Try to drop your belly towards your left thigh, gazing at your left toes, focusing on your breath, long deep exhalations, extremely helpful and extremely important actually. As you can see, I'm able to go a little more deeper on my left side. And really, so that was some workout. Yes, Ardha Hanuman Asana. a really deep practice, especially for those who have tight hamstrings. This could really be an intense workout. And slowly sit on the mat, stretch your legs out and relax completely. We'll finish our practice with Paschimottanasana. So this is again a great workout for stretching out the back of your thighs, for the back of your hips, your hamstrings. So bring your feet together, loop the belt around the middle of your feet, make sure your toes are flexed, pointing towards you. And as you inhale, lengthening your spine. As you exhale, pulling your belly in, slowly draw your belly and chest towards your thighs. Again, gazing at your toes, the focus is not to drop your head towards your knees, but the focus is to keep your spine long and to open the back of your knees. So try to keep the knees straight as much as you can. We'll do also a little bit of twist in Paschimottanasana by pushing into your feet, holding the belt with your left hand and twist and stretch the right arm behind. And if you feel, you can also hold the outside of your right foot with your left palm and go for a slightly more deeper stretch. But of course, do this only if your hamstrings cooperate with you. If they are tight and if they are rigid, then you don't want to do this. You'd most certainly want to use the belt. I'm feeling quite open today, which is why I'm trying this with my palms. But believe me, there are many days when I really struggle to kind of take my palms to my feet as well. Slowly release. And I'll show you one more variation of Paschimottanasana which you could try. You can sit on the edge of the block. This is a fantastic way to open the back of your legs in a very passive and gentle manner. And your hamstring will really thank you for this. So loop the belt again around the middle of your feet. Hold the belt. Again, don't tug at it, just a gentle pressure and slowly fold forward. This allows the hamstrings to open up a lot more gently, a lot more easily. There's a lot of relief and release in the hamstrings as well. Make sure you're sitting on the edge of the block so that your knees are descending down from your hip. And possibly you may be able to hold the outside of your feet as well. And as you inhale, slowly come up and release. So I think we were there at the end of the practice. As always, it's good to finish a practice with either a seated twist or a supine twist. Since we're already in a seated posture, just cross your legs into Sukhasana and give a nice twist on either side, looking over your right shoulder and left shoulder. And take your palms behind your back, interlock your fingers, push your hips forward, give a gentle stretch. A counter pose for Paschimottanasana. And ta-da, you're done. I think your hamstrings are super happy today. Thank you for watching. Namaste, and you have a lovely day.